to our backyard. Stay informed with Pacific Mornings.
Talofa lava, it is 7:19 a.m. Welcome back to Pacific Mornings. I'm Khalia Strong. Now, Jessica Tupai is this year's Youth MP for Wellington Central. She is in her final year at St Mary's College and has Sāmoan-Tongan heritage. Tupai also spoke at the Race Unity Speech Awards National. She was the national champion in 2024 and she joins us now. Mālua lelei.
Mālua lelei, talofa lava.
Talofa lava. Now, tell us about yourself, Jessica, and why you got involved with Youth Parliament.
So I'm year 13 at St Mary's College, as you said, and throughout sort of my high school years, like you mentioned, my Race Unity Speech Awards, which I won, I've had a lot of public speaking experience. So I think that this year, when I saw the opportunity for Youth Parliament, I really wanted to take those sort of skills and passion for public speaking and use it as a way to voice my community. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Now, this is a 2-day event, a few weeks away from now. What can we expect from you during that time?
Yeah, so during this time, I've been working with Tamitha Paul, the MP who I'm the Youth MP for, as well as some of her advisors. And one of the issues that we've been looking at how I can do some community engagement around, especially with the Pacific community, is climate change and the effects it has on our Pacific Islands. So I've been looking at doing some more awareness raising around that and looking forward to some further projects after the actual Youth Parliament event, going towards July into August with some things around that.
All right, so you've got some plans for beyond Youth Parliament.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Now, there's always so much going on in the political scene, but this week we had the ban of disposable vapes aiming to reduce vaping, particularly young vapers. Do you think this ban is going to work?
Yeah, I think that obviously vaping is a very significant and important issue where we don't want our young people to be exposed to that. But I think that the ban is a great step in towards decreasing that number of youth vapors that we have out there, especially making it less accessible, making it more expensive, etc. I think it's a really good way to sort of work towards decreasing the number of youth that we have vaping in New Zealand.
I don't know if it's like this for you at school, but it's hard to pass a bus stop of school students without seeing some with vapes in their hands. Is that something that's normal to you as well?
Yeah, I think that can be the case sometimes throughout different cities. I live in a few different cities, but yeah, I've definitely seen it increase over the years I've been at high school, just around town and things. But it's definitely something that needs to be decreased, the number of youth vapors.
Yeah. Now, it's not often we see many young Pacific people involved in Parliament, in politics. So that's why it's so great to have some youth MPs this round with Pacific heritage. Are you seeing a lack of representation in these spaces? And why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think in general, sometimes the lack of Pacific representation or Pacific youth representation in these sort of political spaces or things like Youth Parliament is not necessarily a lack of concern for the issues that we may be able to talk about or the actual kaupapa of these kind of events, but more a lack of accessibility to understanding of how they can get involved or what actually is Youth Parliament. How can I get involved in speaking up for my community around the political issues that may affect us?
Yeah, thank you. Now, you've already mentioned climate change as a political topic you care about. And what are some of the other issues that you're passionate about?
Yeah, so as I said, Pacific climate change is a specific issue that I'm quite passionate about. But along with that, I would probably say things such as honouring Te Tiriti o Waitangi, as well as a lot of stuff around sort of leveling the playing field and making sure that our Māori and Pacific people and youth especially have the same sort of opportunities, especially with a few of the things such as a bill from an ACT member where there was issues around how they thought that scholarships and things for Pacific and Māori students, etc., should be sort of revoked and not taken through. But just sort of those sort of issues around making sure that we each have the platform to get the same opportunities not rather in sort of equality, but more on the equity side of things.
Yes, and you spoke about, there's not a lack of care in Pacific communities, but we're just not seeing that
Mm.
representation. And I don't know if you saw last night, but they've decided to scrap the census every 5 years. And that had very low Pacific engagement year on year. Is that something, yeah, how do you think that might impact our Pacific communities?
Yeah, I think as you said, it's interesting to take away something where you get obviously the voices of New Zealand. However, seeing that there was a lack of Pacific representation within that census space already, um, it's an interesting issue where uh, I think that as a country we also need to find how we can actually get more of that representation in the first place. So where there was not as much representation within the census, um, whether we take it away or not, we should still try and see how we can get more Pacific representation into spaces like that to get more information about what they want to see.
Yeah, do you have any ideas or suggestions for how that might be done?
Yeah, off the top of my head, probably not practical suggestions at the moment, but I think that it's something that could be worked towards and maybe even probably best to talk with Pacific people in that space, Pacific politicians, and see how they best think that their community could be reached out to.
Absolutely. Now, you took place in the Race Unity Speech Awards and you won last year. And one of your, I only saw a little bit of a video and it cut out, and you were speaking about the death of our diversity. Can you explain what was the context and thinking behind that?
Yeah, so the Race Unity Speech Awards had a theme around uniting all peoples from all different backgrounds and cultures. So when I spoke about sort of the phrase "the death of our diversity," I was more sort of talking about the decrease or the lack of appreciation that we have sometimes for or people of all different backgrounds, or the tokenism of how we treat people from different backgrounds when we sort of just have one thing that we would like from them, maybe a karakia, or we'd like you to start our morning off with a Pacific greeting, but not really delving into the actual beauty of the diversity that we can find within some of these cultures.
I like it, especially when it seems like a very nice thing to say is we should celebrate all cultures. But I think
Mm.
what you're pushing at is that it needs to go deeper than that. Would that be right?
Yes, definitely.
Now, do you have a favourite politician?
Um, I obviously I'm the youth MP for Tamitha Paul, and I admire a lot of her work that has been done. I'm not sure I would say I have a favorite politician, but there's definitely a lot of Māori and Pacific female MPs in Parliament at the moment, such as Hanara Whatika, Musipuloni, Jenny Salesa, Tamitha Paul as well, that I definitely sort of look up to and admire some of the work they're doing for our communities.
No, I love it. And do you have a message to young Pacific people who aren't really taking an interest in politics?
Yeah, I guess as Pacific people, one of our strongest values, I believe, is reciprocity and giving back to our community, serving our community. But I think that sometimes what's not recognized as much is that using your voice and speaking up on issues can also be a way to give back to our community. So I think that the Pacific youth of Aotearoa should really think about that and think about how they can get involved in understanding more. But then it also has a role of New Zealand itself and how we can ask them questions and get them involved and have them have a better understanding of how they can support their communities as well.
Oh, I like it. Seeing political engagement as an act of service and reciprocity. I love it. That was Jessica Tupai, Wellington Central's Youth MP and 2024 Race Unity Speech Award champion. Thank you for joining us, Jessica, and best of luck for your days in Youth Parliament when it comes.
Thank you very much.